20 years. And so our research has been able to identify the thoroughness of the process that has enabled colleges to consider changing their name and continue to change their name. I know that Missouri is one state that has had a number of colleges change their name. They were for a long time known by a collection of bi-directional schools, Southwest Missouri, Northeast Missouri, and a number of them began to change their name because they felt like they needed a more prestigious name for various reasons and for issues of growth. So there are also colleges in Minnesota, both public and private, that we've looked towards to see not only how they selected their name, but clearly how they moved through the process to make it a transparent process and then a smooth transition to the new name, which is equally critical as you move down the path.
Okay, here's a question from Facebook. How will the Metro identity stay intact?
Great question. I actually think the Metro identity will stay intact because we will continue to follow the kinds of values that has driven our institution in the past. So there will be no change in our admission practices. We're very proud of the fact that in the last 5 years, while our enrollment overall has grown 20%, the percentage of first-generation students has increased. The percentage of Pell Grant students has increased. The percentage of students of color has increased. The number of returning veterans on this campus today currently exceeds 800 veterans. That's how we get our name. We are the place that is the most egalitarian public higher education institution in the state of Colorado. And it's how we continue to serve the populations we have always served. 97% of our students are from the state of Colorado. 91% are from the the 7-county metropolitan area. We fully intend to keep that focus. We're a Colorado institution serving Colorado students and providing opportunities for students who might not otherwise get the chance to go somewhere else. 60% of our students are transfer students from community colleges and from other four-year schools. We don't intend to change that. That will always be an important part of our student body. I think it's those kinds of characteristics that define who we are that will really drive our continuing reputation that we have built such a solid history upon. So I think that's a great question to be asking.
Here's a question from Twitter. What about athletics and the reputation we have made for ourselves?
You know, there is no question that we have a terrific nationally known Division II program. And we are awfully proud of that. The interesting thing, and I've served, as you know, chair of the NCAA Division II presidents for 2 years up through last year. And I talk with student athletes in Division II all around the country. You would be surprised how many of those student athletes don't have a clue of who Metro State is or where we're from. So our reputation is known largely by those who are most actively engaged in Division II athletics. I believe that reputation will be transferable in terms of the name because those folks understand, the ones who really understand our program already know where we're at. But I can tell you most Division II athletes, most Division II coaches don't know where Metro State is.
Here's a question on Twitter. What current obstacles do you foresee being forgotten or overcome with this new name?
I can answer that briefly. I think that in our research, one of the obstacles in the current name, Metropolitan State College of Denver, is that the overall finding is the name was too long, difficult to remember, unclear, and rarely used in its longer legal reference. So the hope is that a new name would be shorter, easy to remember, and get across the key qualities that were described earlier in this call of being a four-year institution, of being a public institution, of being urban and accessible, that those qualities would come through in a new name, and that would eliminate some of the confusion from the old name, not only of being lengthy and not easy to communicate, but also the past associations with the Metro State name, that the misperceptions that it was a community college, and the misperception that the degree did not have as much value as other colleges in the state.
And let me just do one follow-up thing, just so people understand this question about the misperception. I mean, I can tell you that I was up at a hearing about a year ago in the Joint Budget Committee of the Legislature, in which the staff person for the committee, in suggesting why the appropriations could be less for Metro, the argument was, well, they're just like a community college. And I think that what we're trying to say is, first of all, community colleges are an important, critical asset for the state of Colorado. But we are not a community college. We're a four-year degree, and the students at this college deserve the same opportunity that students at every other college or university receive. And that is from the quality of the faculty, from the level of support services, to the extent to which their degree is valued in the marketplace when they go out and use it to procure a job. And so I think that hurdle about perceptions about us being like or a community college is a really important change that needs to be made.
Okay, good question. Question on Facebook. With over 80% of our graduates staying in Colorado, why do we care how we look to the rest of the nation? After all, 24,000 students attending class at Metro State can't be wrong each year.
You know, I think that's a great point of pride, and certainly, you know, that 24,000, I would say, constitutes 1/5 of all the Colorado baccalaureate students attending a four-year public college, and there are 12 of them in Colorado. I think you're right about that. On the other hand, at some point, those 24,000 students have to leave the college and use that degree to get employment. As we said, 80% of our graduates stay here, 20% are going out of state. So we should care what happens to those graduates when they go out of state. We want our degree to have value out of state. We also want it to have value because companies that choose to work with colleges and universities aren't all simply located in Colorado. And we want companies from all over the country to be willing to make investments into our college here in Denver, and would have a reason to, because we have nationally prominent programs like our aviation and aerospace program, which serves aviation and aerospace companies that are not just Colorado companies, but companies that have a presence not only nationally but worldwide. But ultimately, it is one thing to say, yes, we're getting lots of students. It's another thing to say, and is the value of their degree when they go out held in the same esteem because of the differentiation in the word.
Okay, we have another question on Facebook. Central Colorado University, we would have to be in Buena Vista or Leadville for this to apply. Denver State University sounds like we are the sister school of the University of Denver. As an alum of Metropolitan State College of Denver, class of '06, does this make sense to go forward with the economic downturn we are facing?
Well, I think what we've tried to do is describe to you some of the things we're finding from our research. Ultimately, that's a decision that our Board of Trustees are going to have to make. I think I respect your view, for instance, that you say Denver State University sounds like we're a sister school of the University of Denver. But I guess I would say, as Chuck has pointed out, I don't think anybody sees Portland State University as a sister school of the University of Portland. I don't think anyone sees San Diego State University as a sister school of the University of San Diego. And I personally don't think people will see, if that's the name we choose, Denver State University as a sister school of the University of Denver. I would, the question about the University of Central Colorado, are we really in the center of Colorado? Well, I think absolutely we're not in the geographic perfect center of Colorado, but I think you could probably say the same with almost every other institution that has that name, that they're probably not in the perfect geographic center. I think what we were trying to do is simply test a name where there seemed to be a pattern that was evolving in Colorado, that was not dissimilar to patterns that have occurred in other states throughout the country.
I would just add to the confusion question of University of Denver and Denver State University. I mean, think about it just in terms of University of Colorado and Colorado State University. Do you think people confuse those two because they have many of the same words in their name, although one adds state? Or is University of Northern Colorado confused with University of Colorado because it just has one extra word? I think those questions have come up, but over time, each institution makes its mark and people understand that it's a separate institution, and it's easier over time for people to make that distinction.
Okay, I think we have time for one final question, which has come through on Facebook. And the question is the board leaning towards one name?
Great question. And let me just say, I can honestly say I have no idea which way the board is leaning. At this point, none of us have any idea of how the 6,000 plus votes that have been registered so far are breaking out. I can tell you in the conversations I have had with board members, I have heard the whole array of kinds of concerns and statements made that many of you made tonight. And so I think there is the whole array of thinking among the board that many of you have expressed. And it's going to be interesting to see where the board comes down on this. They have not had a meeting intentionally where they spent any time where they were vetting a name. They have had conversations that have been in the absolute abstract about the importance of metropolitan, about Denver being a geographic descriptor, but they have intentionally stayed away from vetting and discussing one name as an alternative to another name. And I think the conversation when the board meets will be a very interesting one to hear what they have to say as a result of the final rankings that people make in the survey.
Okay, I think we've come to the end of our time with you this evening. I'd like to thank everyone for participating in tonight's town hall. I'd also like to thank particularly President Jordan and Chuck Gross for being here with us this evening and sharing their thoughts about the Strategic Name Initiative with you. Remember that it is important for everyone to voice their opinion and to give your input. We want your feedback. It is very important. Be sure to log into our website to vote on the name change and express your concerns, comments, thoughts, and feedback about this important initiative. The website is www.mscd.edu/namechange. So please log in, express your opinion, and stay tuned because there will be more to come. Thank you.